There's war in Europe again, and even the leader of the German party says that he actually respects pacifists, but ultimately he thinks pacifism is wrong. So there are people out there who are telling us that it is naive in times of war to thrive for peace. There are people out there who are trying to tell us that the only way to solve problems is if you have the bigger bombs. Even in Germany it happened that the Russian school was burned. This war is affecting everybody. So what is a wise way to relate to it? Stay tuned. Okay, what's up, mindfulness people out there? Yeah, this whole thing, a lot of people say it's, going to be the Third World War. This is changing the world order. A lot of newspapers are writing about the new world order. So it is a very, very important thing to relate wisely to conflicts, because Martin Luther King was saying, not in the times when you were comfortable, determines what kind of person you are, but in times of conflict, of difficulties, of adversity, there it shows what kind of person you are. And to be honest, we can see that war is going on for quite a while. Not only the wars, with weapons in our hands, but there's an economic war going on since years. There's a cyber war going on for years. There's an information war going on since years. And people say the first thing which dies in a war is the truth. And so we see that we need to be, conscious about what is going on around us. And what happens a lot, especially in times of conflict, is that our first chakra, our root chakra, our tribal chakra, gets activated, and we fall into the pattern of this is right, this is wrong. We fall into the duality of, these people are bad and these people are good, and everybody wants to tell us, who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. But you can see that in our times, things are not that easy anymore. Like we tend to think that our tribe is the right, we are the democratic people, we are not living in an extreme, political system with oppression and stuff like this. But we have to ask, are our democratic systems really still democratic systems, and are we not, in the way we live, in the way politics are playing out, are we not part of the problem? And when we turn to spirituality, and that's very important in these times, that we just really go down to the teachings and see, okay, in the yogic philosophy, the overarching principle is ahimsa, which means non-violence. And when we go to Buddhism, their overall rule is to never harm any living being, including yourself, not only through physical action, but also through speech and thoughts. And, and the problem is that the outside, our society, everything what is represented on the outside is a mirror from the inside. So, and the question is, how peaceful am I really inside of myself? How many judgments do I have of other people? How many times my mind falls into the duality of this is right and that is wrong, this is how the world should be, and this is how it not should be. How many times we think we are on the right side of the game, you know, may it be with our partner, may it be with our friends, our co-workers, and, you know, all the people. And we just really need to see what is my most inner belief system. Do I believe peace is possible? Do I believe that it is possible to live together with whole of humanity in a peaceful way? And what is my part in it? So, you know, when it comes to the economic war, you know, like we have to look inside, what is actually going on inside of me? You know, how much greed is there? How much neediness and wanting is there? How much do I, you know, try to cover up my insecurities and, you know, my bad moods and my inability of having a calm mind is leading me to overconsume, overeat, you know, and all these kind of things. So if I am consuming too much, then a fight for resources is the outcome of that. So, and the question is, you know, do I take the responsibility to see how much I am part of the problem? And I want to read some things to you, which I forgot. So, that means that, first of all, we have to see what is really going on inside of myself. What is my most inner belief systems about the world out there, and how we should relate to it? Because everybody out there is telling us, you know, only if you have a lot of weapons, then you can, you know, just be, you know, on the same level with other people who have, you know, the same amount or more weapons than you have, you know. Like only if you have financial power, then you're on the same level than other people and communicate. And it becomes more and more obvious that our world is just going into the completely wrong direction, making finances, resources, and power the leading principles on how we live our lives in our societies, in our economies, and in our private life. There's nothing in the game anymore. So I think we need now, you know, like the outside circumstances are calling for us to start a new peace movement. And that peace movement starts right here in this center. You know, we need to learn to see what is going on in our chakras, which are just driving us towards leading a life which is in war with myself, which is in war with, you know, nature, which is in war with other people around me. And we need to clarify that a spiritual approach to life is an absolutely and, you know, no compromise, peaceful approach. I would like to read you a couple of sentences. So, Martin Luther King Jr. was saying, "I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word." So, the Buddha was quoting that hate will never overcome hate. Only love will overcome hate. This is the eternal truth. Mahatma Gandhi was showing that it is possible with a non-violent approach to overcome any obstacle, but we need to start believing again. We need to start to understand that love is the biggest power in the world. Again, Martin Luther King Jr., I'm convinced that love is the most durable power in the world. It is not an expression of impractical idealism, but of practical realism. Far from being the purest injection of an utopian dreamer, love is an absolute necessity for the survival of our civilization. You know, with all what the powers we have in our hands, you know, the survival of our civilizations will not happen without unconditional love. Someone must have sense enough and religion enough to cut off the chain of hate and evil, and this can only be done through love. You know, so this is what we need to practice. This is what we need to start right now. If we want to make a change. You know, now possibilities are there. You know, now doors are opening to decide, you know, what kind of person I am. So I asked everybody out there to become, you know, a light. You know, to become, you know, a shining light of peace and love in the world, because this is what the world needs. You know, we need to stand up, not in the way that we go necessarily on the street, but you know, like in every single meeting, in every single thing what we do, we need to radiate peace. We need to radiate love and bring that into the world. When I was in the dark room, you know, meditating for 3 weeks in complete darkness, never seeing a single light, I had a vision, and this vision was that I could see that in the broadest scale of everything, you know, you can see that everybody who sits down in prayer, no matter what kind of religion you're practicing, you know, whenever somebody sits down in meditation, you know, or doing karma yoga or whatever your practice is, you are bringing light into the overall consciousness. You know, you may call it God, you may call it the universe, whatever you call it. You know, you are bringing light with every action, with every thought you're doing. But there's a lot of darkness right now. But you can see all these candles, you know, out there. And the Buddha was saying, you know, one single candle can light 1,000 candles without getting diminished. You know, we have the potential, but we have to start with ourselves. So we have to make peace inside first. And this is what we want to do with you guys on Patreon this year. So the next month, we will make an absolute straightforward path with you how to develop inner peace and inner love, so that we can be of benefit, you know, in this universe. This is why we are here. This is why we are human beings. So everybody counts. So in the next month, we'll talk and we'll guide you through the chakras, and we'll explain you that every chakra has actually a shady energy which brings us down, or a positive energy which is, you know, bringing light into the universe. So for example, our first chakra is our tribal chakra. So, and that is, for example, our sense of safety. Do I feel connected, you know, in my original family, with my friends, you know, in life? Do I have the feeling I belong here to the world, and I have, you know, sense, I have, you know, something to do here, and I have a task? And that is, you know, the first chakra. If it's not the case, you know, like if you feel disconnected, if you not feel safe in the world, then you will always be ready to fight. Then you will always be ready to protect yourself. And, you know, like for me, for example, my mother was an alcoholic since I was 3, so I was living on the streets. I was living in constant, you know, fear. And I was so afraid when people, for example, would criticize me. I would fight back like crazy. You know, my poor companion in my marketing company, whenever he wanted to tell me something negative, he was like, Christian, don't take it personal, you know, don't, you know, it's just about work here, you know. And I was already going, you know, what do you want to tell me, you know? And I was like, wow. fighting back. And that's the same thing with our families, with our companies, like we keep fighting, with each other because we are lacking a broader sense of safety. So we want to bring you into a practice to develop this kind of feeling of safety and settled into life. And the second chakra then will be our energy of greed and lust, and that has a shady side of abusing others, stealing from others to get what we want or what we think we need. Or this kind of energy could be our guided into our urge, our longing for love and connection and creativity, and we can use this, a lot of people in yoga say this sexual energy, this greedy energy into, the most beautiful, giving, unifying energy, because that it is. So we go through the chakras and, we'll bring you into this kind of thing. And I would like to end again with a quote of Martin Luther King to just point out what we're talking about here. Because he said, "Threaten our children and bomb our churches and our homes, and as difficult as it is, we'll still love you. Then send your hooded perpetrators of violence into our communities at the midnight hour and drag us out on some wayside road and beat us and leave us half dead, and we will still love you. But be assured, we will wear you down with all the lashings that we suffer. One day we will win our freedom. We will not only win freedom for ourselves, we will so appeal to your heart and your conscience that we will win you in the process." And that is the most important lesson to learn. Love is not only this effective feeling we have for somebody. Love is not only this, fluffy kind of, I love all living beings. Love is a very straightforward, powerful tool to, fight for truth, fight for what is really important, and ultimately stop fighting. To see that there is nothing to fight for except, to give into your longing, give into your urge for what what the potential of humans are, and not make a single compromise. So guys, we have a lot to do together. So we will start live meditations again together. We'll do peace yoga, ahimsa meditations, non-violence communications, all these kind of things, to just really see what do we need to do to unfold the full potential of human beings, and what does it actually mean to be a human being. And that doesn't mean to kill each other. We can do much better. Thank you.